Edmondson. Mrs. Holloway.
Here.
Mr. Noor. Mr. Schweiger. Here. Mrs. Cordero.
Here.
Mr. Hubbard.
Can I have a flag salute, please, led by Mr. George Schweiger? In accordance with Local Law 231, notice this meeting was provided to the press, the current, and the Galloway Township Municipal Building on January 11, 2014. Reading of communications, please.
Good evening and welcome everyone. We have one item under letter of communications. It is a letter from Pam Castellanos from the New Jersey Department of Education that our school district has been designated as high performing by receiving at least 80% of the CUSAC indicators in all 5 areas. And the State Board of Education certified the district for a period of 3 years as providing a thorough and efficient education. I should note we previously had a letter from the county superintendent indicating that this was being sent to the state. This is the final step in our monitoring process with the State Board of Education making that certification.
And continue on presentations.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Annalise Wagner. Annalise is the Secretary of School Spirit on Student Council right here at GTMS. Welcome, Annalise.
Hi, thank you. The Student Council has done a lot of different things, and one thing that we recently had was the clothing drive, and altogether we collected, I think it was 21 bags of clothing, which is very good for the school and for the community. And we've had various amount of different school spirit days. We've had Formal Friday, Crazy Hair Day, and we're going to have different things coming up like Switch Your Outfit Day, like different kind of things like that. And a lot of schools participate in it, and it's really good to bring the school spirit up for everybody.
Thank you. And Annalise, Ms. Avery is sitting next to you. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to ask her or get our attention and we'll answer them for you.
Annalise, thank you. The next 2 items on the agenda are the reason we have some wonderful people in the audience tonight. So we're going to begin with recognizing the students for the All-South Jersey Middle School Band. If I could ask Mr. Dondero, Mr. O'Keefe, and I know I saw Dr. Hathaway and Ms. Kurtz, if you could come forward, please. I'm going to just quickly go over how we do this. Obviously, since you just came here, we did not rehearse. I'll ask Mr. Dondero, as the senior of the 2 instrumental music teachers, to explain what All-South Jersey Band is, and then each of the band directors will call up the students from their respective schools. Mr. Cordero is also joining me, and we have certificates for the students. We'll ask you, after you get your certificate, to go in the middle, because Mrs. Westcott, our communications officer, will be doing some photos, and I know a lot of times family members like to do that as well. So, Mr. Dondero.
Thank you. The All-South Jersey Region Band is a group where the students in band have to learn a certain piece of music and then some basic exercises, scales, and some sight reading, and they go and they audition against, along with about 400 other students from all over every middle school in South Jersey, grade 6, 7, and 8. And we were very fortunate to have 4 from the middle school and 1 from Smithfield Elementary School, 6th grader, get selected for the group. Most of them are here this evening. So at this time, on trumpet, Christian Cassetti, come on up. And it's Christian's 2nd time as a member of the Region Band. And on clarinet, Anita Goshevska, it's her 3rd time. She was in 6th grade, 7th grade, and now again in 8th grade. 7th grader on percussion, he played timpani, Rudy Kreutzer. Come on up, his first time. Another middle school student, I don't believe she's here tonight, I didn't see her, so she snuck in on baritone. Her second year is Caitlin Rose, but she's not here tonight.
And now please welcome Mr. O'Keefe from Smithville School.
Thank you. We were very excited to have Sydney Mullet on flute accepted this year.
And Bruce photo. I think there may be more of us than them, but that's okay. And it looks, is this like a trained group that you know to hold the certificates? Have you been here before? You can tell. You just call us to stand next to Mr. O'Keefe. I don't know. Thank you. Again, congratulations to the students for this tremendous honor, and we're looking forward to the spring concerts. We're continuing with another recognition, and I ask Ms. Kurtz to remain, and I'd like to invite Ms. Carol Reiter from Galloway Township Middle School, who is a math teacher, the coach for the Mathcounts team, to tell you a little bit about what Mathcounts is and to recognize the students.
Good evening. The Mathcounts competition is a math contest that is sponsored by the Society of Professional Engineers. It's a national level contest, and we participate at the regional level. It's about the 7-county South Jersey region. We participated at a competition at Rowan University on Saturday, February 1st. The students went and did math problems all day on the Saturday. And we competed against 14 schools comprising about 130 7th and 8th graders. So it was quite an interesting competition, and we distinguished ourselves by winning 5th place out of all of those schools. And we also had one student who scored in the top 10, which meant that he got the extra added attraction of going head-to-head against the other top 10 students in a Jeopardy type round, and he did wonderfully well. So we are going to congratulate all of those people tonight. I think about 4 of them are here, the others had previous obligations. The first student I'd like to recognize was a member of our team, Omar Barai. Congratulations. You come up.
Omar, you come this way and shake our hands. It is okay. Lots of practice for the future. Congratulations.
Another member of our team was Anita Kosevska. Congratulations. The 4th member of our team is Neeti Patel, and she was unable to be with us tonight. So I will give her a certificate, and I'll shake her hand tomorrow. Now those 4 members made up the team. Ebos Ivy was one of the team members as well as the student who scored in the top 10. So I'd like him to come forward. Congratulations, Ebos. There were 4 students. Each of the schools brings a team of 4. And then we're allowed to bring students who compete as individuals. And we took 4 students who competed as individuals. Those were, we have 2 7th graders that are coming up. Jessica Vagawala, who is unable to be here tonight. We do have a student here, Nick McGrath, who was competing as an individual, 7th grader. Come on up and receive. And 2 other students who competed as individuals, Rebecca Hennessy, who also, I believe, is not able to be with us tonight, and Karan Kular, who was an 8th grader who competed as an individual. And I don't see him, so I'll be presenting certificates tomorrow. So thank you very much.
Another group is all prepared. We don't have that happen. I'd like to thank all of the staff members and administrators, and of course the parents who came out this evening. Another great accomplishment in the math area. Thank you. I shouldn't have sat down. Parents and students, you are certainly welcome to stay. The next item actually is a budget presentation. If you are interested, sometimes the folks like to head out to do homework, or I know Dallas is on at 9 o'clock, or whatever the case may be, but you are welcome to stay. Mr. Kelly and I will now be giving a budget update. Not you, Ms. Carmen.
Go on. Go on. It's all parents, though.
Where you going? We have to something. You have to something.
Yeah, she told me that you did get married again.
What's new, Prof?
And good evening. The board and the public who has been present in the past may recall that earlier we gave an overview of key factors related to budget development, as well as some of the timelines and different things. Tonight's presentation takes it one step further, again sharing some of those key factors in preparing the 2014-2015 budget, and begin to show you some of the information with the planning that Mr. Kelly and I have been doing with the administrative team. The bulk of this evening's presentation is information from the fiscal side, so I'm going to turn the presentation over to Mr. Kelly.
Thank you very much. Just to revisit and review some of our current budget issues. Every year we talk about fund balance, which is actually a portion of revenues in our budget that we use to balance books. Every year that number varies, and we try and keep it relatively consistent. In the current year, we're looking at fund balance of about $3.5 million. That's what's funding the FAFSA budget this year. Next year, we're looking at about $2.8 million. That represents the excess surplus that's on hand in the own set of fiscal issues because we had a one-time revenue that we used to balance the books that is not available moving forward. Since the last presentation, I've spoken a number of times with our health benefits broker, and this is one of the newer issues that's cropped up in our budget development. But right now, the projection for renewal of our health insurance premiums is significantly higher than it's been in the past. Excuse me, partially a result of experience as far as how our group is performing as far as claims, but it's also a part of the number of fees and other charges that are related to the Affordable Care Act. Again, the renewal is higher and it's actually outside of the budget cap, so we're trying to see how this is going to come into play. I will remind the board that there is an adjustment that's available for unusually large increases in health benefits under the current budget cap. So we have our 2% that we normally increase, and then we are looking at a potential adjustment, and you'll see on another slide, about $160,000 or so at this time. Again, as our broker gets additional information, hopefully that insurance increase will be lower. And if it is, that adjustment for health insurance increases may disappear, depending on what our budget projection is for health insurance. Again, one of our other key issues is, in addition to maintaining the instructional programs that we have here, is to continuing to fund the capital reserve. The district was awarded 5 rod ramps. We're looking to replace some roofs, do some fire alarms. But looking forward into the future, we're going to have additional capital needs that we're going to need to address. So we want to keep that in mind as we're building the budgets. I mentioned it briefly, the tax levy cap. Again, you'll hear people refer to it as a 2% cap, and that's generally true. It's a 2% on the tax levy. So it's not 2% on the budget. Each school district is different. In Galloway, the tax levy makes up about 50% of the budget. So that 2% on the tax levy, because it's 50% of the budget, you have to cut it in half. So if we go to the full 2%, we actually can increase our total budget to 1%. We just always like to remind people that even though we have that 2%, it doesn't allow you to grow your budget 2%. It allows you to grow the tax levy 2%. And in Galloway, that allows you to grow the total budget. I mentioned the health benefit adjustment. Right now, in our projections, we're looking at a benefit of an adjustment, of about $164,000. That does have to be reviewed and approved by the New Jersey Department of Ed when it's submitted. And again, I'm hoping to hear a adjusted renewal number from our health insurance broker before this is submitted to the department. As far as bank cap is the amount of money that the Board of Ed is allowed to increase the tax levy in any given year under the cap law. But for whatever reason, the board chose not to do so. And this year, there was 0 tax increase in this year for 12-13. So you see, we actually have a bank available, $879,000. Now, we can choose to either utilize that, a portion of that, or none of that. Next year, it will move down to the next level. You're allowed to have a bank cap for 3 years. So at the end of those 3 years, if you don't utilize an amount of bank cap you have available to you, it does sunset and no longer becomes available. But this $879,000 will be available if left untouched again next year. After that, it will sunset and will no longer be available. As you can see from 13-14, we have no bank cap available. In Galloway, taxes are raised on what's called a split-year levy. Most of us pay taxes in a calendar year, which is probably in the middle of doing their 1040s and their income taxes. The municipality also operates on a calendar year. The school district, because of our nature, we operate on a fiscal year, which runs from July 1st to June 30th. Because of that, we raise our taxes in a year, half in one calendar year, half in the other. That really doesn't have an effect on the rate, only the fact that when the rate is struck by the township, we're taking half of the prior year tax levy and half of the current year tax levy, because of the fact that you have an incongruency in fiscal years between the two organizations. And just as a reminder, for those of you who are Galloway residents, I'm sure you're aware, for those of you, there was a property tax revaluation this That doesn't come into play as far as the tax levy or our budget, but what it does affect is the tax rate. So the tax rate may be a certain number. If the assessed valuation of taxable properties in the township goes down, if it decreases, we're dividing the same number by a smaller number, so you would theoretically see the tax rate go up. If taxable property value went up, and all things being equal, you would see things go down. From what we've been seeing in the township, I do anticipate a decrease in net valuation of taxable properties in the township. So, as a board, we will see a theoretical increase in the tax rate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to raise $1 extra in taxes. State aid, no details are available from Trenton. As in any year, you cannot get any information from the Department of Ed, and it's not because they won't tell you, sometimes it's because they don't know. The governor's budget address is tomorrow at 2 p.m. By statute, state aid is released 48 hours later, so we should see state aid, or we will see state aid sometime on Thursday. Sometimes that comes out earlier, sometimes it comes out at the end of the day on Thursday. We'll have to wait and see. And just a point, as far as our actual aid, what we receive from the State Department of Ed, the state of New Jersey, district receives about $23.5 million in actual aid from the state. The current funding formula that exists is the School Funding Reform Act, or SFRA. If the state were to run, and they show us this printout every year, when the state runs the formula as far as how they design state aid to work, the state should be, by that formula, sending Galloway Township $28.7 million. Unfortunately, the state can't fully fund the formula at this time, so there are adjustments that are made. And again, we received this year about $23.5 million. But you see that almost $5 million difference or so, give or take, between what the district actually receives and what the state has calculated we should be receiving in any given fiscal year. We had a similar discrepancy last year. Capital projects, another major component to our budget. This year the district funded over $2 million in capital projects at the Galloway School. We are still awaiting SBA, what are called grant offer letters from the awarded projects to finalize the funding. You will see we have an approval to acknowledge receipt of the final eligible cost letters for these projects. There's two different offices in the state that deal with this. You have this Department of Education, Department of Facilities, who approve and manage school projects. That's where these last two letters, this final eligible cost letter, comes from. And then you have the SDA, the School Development Authority. The School Development Authority is the organization that actually sells bonds and provides the funding to the project. The district doesn't have the quote-unquote grant offer letter from the SDA yet, but we do have the final eligible cost letters from the Department of Ed Facility Office. We have 18 months to accept the grant offer. So again, we have two actual budget cycles to complete this project. Just as an aside, the total SBA grants for these 5 projects, which are, just to remind you, the roofs at Smithville Elementary School and Roland Rogers, and also the fire alarms at Reeds Road, Roland Rogers, and Smithville. Those are the 5 projects. The total grant amount, or what the state's going to kick into these projects, is about $2.4 million, a little less than half. The local share, as far as what the district has to come up with to fund these 5 projects altogether, is about $2.6 million. Later this week on Wednesday, I'll be attending a meeting in Robbinsville that's being presented by the SBA as far as the paperwork process for this round of grants, which from what I'm hearing is slightly different than grants that have been awarded in the past. I've been on the phone with the architect, and we're trying to iron out some of the details as far as the bidding process for the project. Because it seems that the SBA is doing things a little differently than they did in the last round of broad funding grants. And to reiterate, just to remind the board and the public, this summer we fully funded the project at North Lorraine School because last year these funds were not available, and that completed the roof and parking lot of the school. School safety and security. Last week we held a committee meeting of our school safety and security group, which includes members of the public as well as staff members of the district. We updated them on some of the progress, some of the security measures that we've taken. We don't like to discuss all of them, but just as a presentation, one of the major accomplishments front entrances of all the school district buildings. This is a clear plastic film that's applied to the window that, in the event somebody attempts to break the window, it holds true and will not shatter on impact. Some of the major recommendations from the group and the board include a school resource officer in some way, shape, or form for the upcoming year, as well as camera expansions, both at the door, which we accomplished partially last year with new entry systems, and school-wide as far as cameras that are located throughout the school buildings. Each school does have cameras within it, but we're also looking to increase some of the camera coverage so we get more coverage throughout the building. And then as far as long-term planning, some things that we would like to do but we just don't have the funding for right now is to reconfigure some of the entrances in schools where you are not forced into the main office upon entering the building. Some of our schools, when you walk into that, once you're plugged in, you are forced and you have to go to the main office. Some schools you do not. So that's one of our longer range goals that we would like to address for your school.
Thank you. This slide highlights just a few of the things from the curriculum instruction and assessment part of the budget. You've heard us talk in recent years about the shift to the Common Core state standards, and the bulk of the purchases are completed. The new language arts programs, the new math programs. We continue to do training in working with the Common Core, particularly as related to the second bullet, PARC, the Partnership to Assess Readiness for College and Careers. And this is the testing that will replace the ask starting with the next school year. So some of the requests in the budget are related to either materials or training or planning for staff to continue that shift and the preparations for PARC. The requirements that we met this year and are still meeting in terms of principal and teacher evaluation will continue into next year as the second year of those requirements under what is known as Achieve New Jersey. Instructional technology is one of the biggest areas in the budget, really related to both the Common Core and the PARC, along with just the world we live in, the technology that children need to learn and understand and use. So one of the things we are looking at in the budget is to increase iPads in grades 3 to 5, to increase laptops in grades 6 to 8, and we recently discussed these things at a technology committee meeting. In terms of technology teachers, there is one full-time person here at the middle school, but the 4 elementary schools share 2 people. And between the New Jersey technology standards that are required, the 21st century kinds of skills and how the world works today, one of our district goals continues to be making sure students are ethical users of technology. And then, of course, to support the PARC administration next year, the assessments that are taken online, we believe we need a technology teacher in every school. The presentation and information that was provided to the technology committee, we met for about an hour and a half. We will be providing a mini version of that to the entire board and the public. One of the major things we look at each year is class size. And I will mention at the middle school level, class size isn't as straightforward because the students remix within their teams more often than they do at the elementary level. So the chart you're seeing shows what class size could look like for next year. And I emphasize the word could. This is our best case projection as noted here. Obviously, once we receive state aid, we rerun the numbers, and if we need to make reductions, we obviously look at things first. But as Mr. Cowan and I both mentioned, some things really need to be done for other reasons, and always look at personnel last. But if you look at these numbers, they're exceptional. Looking to start with kindergarten, close to 18 students, first grade the same, second grade 19 and a half students in a class. Third grade actually goes down a little bit, fourth grade up a little bit, fifth and sixth grade numbers very strong. And this is the average across the district. I will remind the board and the public that what we try to do is make sure that at any given grade level, between and among schools, it is consistent as possible. So for example, if one school has 18 students in a first grade class on average, well, it might vary a little bit. We're not going to have 25 students in a first grade class at another school. Generally speaking, we look for lower numbers at the younger grades and we'll allow the numbers to go up. These numbers are good across the board, and one of the things you need to realize is if you take a homeroom teacher away and it's a borderline number, sometimes you bump it up too high beyond what we want. You look at, some of the higher grades where the numbers are still very good. We also remind ourselves that they are the tested grades, where that student achievement is measured at a more rigorous level. Again, I'm going to do the disclaimer. By the time Mr. Kelly and I bring you the preliminary budget for the submission to the county office, this may look exactly the same or it may look different. And I'm going to go back to Mr. Kelly because we're back to straightforward fiscal stuff.
Getting back into some exciting numbers, you keep hearing us, and for members of the public, I don't mind if the board understands. There's a very fast turnaround if we get a little more time this year. But as you can see, state aid makes up almost half of our budget. It's about 47% or so. And when you have 47% of your total revenues for the upcoming year, that's an unknown. It makes it slightly difficult to come up with a hard and fast number to present. So again, we wait for that, the governor's budget message, and then 2 days later, state aid is released electronically to the school districts. And then we can actually really get a handle on, okay, where do we stand? $500,000 difference in state aid, which is not all that much, could make or break the budget. So really we need to wait and see where state aid falls before we can make those hard number projections as far as class size and the like. Again, just to review, and I mentioned this before, the local taxes make up just about half of the budget here in Galloway. This is different, in districts throughout the state. There are some districts that, generally your former habit districts, where the local tax levy might make up 25% of the budget. You may have some of your very wealthy districts up in northern New Jersey, where state aid is nothing, and the local tax levy makes up almost 100% of the budget. Again, by district. As far as the components for the district spend, it's money. Obviously, generally, the largest portion, and this is true of any district, is salaries. We're in a people business, and we need people in our buildings to teach our students. So salaries are obviously the highest portion of the budget, as well as other salary-related expenses, be it health benefits, payroll tax expenses, etc. You can see the other smaller areas: supplies, tuition, transportation. And again, it comes back to the point is, there's only so much you can cut out here if cuts are needed to affect change on the budget. Obviously, if your largest portion is salaries and the like, that is sometimes where, unfortunately, you do have to go. The next step, as I said, the governor's budget address is tomorrow, 2 o'clock, for those of you who are waiting with bated breath. State aid is released within 48 hours, so state aid should be released on Thursday. Depending on where state aid falls, because it is such a huge unknown this year, generally there's some inkling out of Trenton as far as where state aid is going to be. We have some idea. There's no word right now, and I know the governor alluded to some of the state's fiscal problems in his State of the State address. So there's really no view where state aid is going to end up at this point. Depending on if it's lower, the same, or very close to the same, more committee meetings may be necessary before the next meeting, because that's when we'll will actually approve the preliminary budget that gets sent to the county office for review and approval. We have 2 regular public meetings between then and the 14th, as well as the public budget hearing, which is on April 28th. Little change this year. Normally, in the past years, the public hearing has been held at the end of March, maybe the March 24th meeting, or something similar. Legislation was passed in Trenton this December, which actually moved back and pushed back budget deadlines for school districts that had moved their elections from April to November, and along with that, eliminated the need to vote on the budget. We created an artificial deadline. State aid was released. 3 days later, you had to have a budget that was finalized to the county, and you had a public hearing on it, a little less than 30 days later, but the fiscal year didn't start for another 90 to 120 days. We actually have a whole extra month this year, so our public budget hearing will be held in our regularly scheduled meeting, which is on April 28th of this year. With that, if any members of the board of the public have any questions, we would be happy to respond. Thank you very much.
Just want to ask again if any board member or any member of the public has any questions on the budget presentation. Okay, superintendent's report.
Thank you. Item 1 is a resolution to accept, modify, or reject the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, which was presented to the board on February 10, 2014 for the reporting period from January 23rd to February 5th, 2014.
Can I have a motion to accept resolution number 1, accepting the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report presented to the board on February 10th for the reporting period from January 23rd, 2014 through February 5th, 2014?
Second.
Thank you. Any board comment? Public comment? Roll call, please.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mrs. Holloway?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes. Curriculum instruction, please.
Yes, thank you. Resolution 1 is to approve home instruction provided by Bridgeton Board of Education for the following students. And you'll see the student ID and school are listed and the dates. And you will see this is students who are hospitalized. Resolution 2 is to approve home instruction provided by Hampton Behavioral Health Center for a student. And again, in terms and conditions, including the hospitalization, and are listed. Resolution 3 is to approve home instruction for the following student. Again, the student ID, school, and dates are listed per a doctor's note. And finally, item 4, resolution to approve the Galloway Township Middle School 2013-14 volleyball team schedule.
Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 4 under curriculum instruction, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any board comment? Public comment? Roll call, please.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mrs. Holloway?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes. Finance and school operations, please.
Thank you. At this time, I'll turn the agenda over to Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Item 1, a resolution to accept the following food service reports for January. The profit and loss statement for the month of January 2014, the trial balance report, breakfast and lunch cash sales, breakfast and lunch meal count participation, as well as the special income detail. Item 2, a resolution to accept the investment report for January 2014 in accordance with board policy. Item 3, a resolution to accept the board secretary's monthly certification, budgetary line item status as of January 31, 2014. Item 4, pursuant to New Jersey Code, the Galloway Township Board of Education certifies that as of January 31, 2014, after review of the Secretary's monthly financial reports and upon consultation with the appropriate district officials, that to the best of our knowledge, no major account or fund has been overexpended in violation of code, and there have been no changes in anticipated revenue sources and/or amount so that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. Item 5, resolution to accept the cash secretary's reports for the month of January 2014. Item 6, a resolution to approve the February bill list for the 13-14 budget. And item 7, a resolution to approve February transfers for the 13-14 budget.
Can I have a motion to approve items number 1 through 7 inclusive under finance and school operations?
So moved.
Any board comment? Did you have a finance committee meeting?
Yes, we did have, everything went fine. There were 2 questions as usual in reference to the bill list. And we did an update on the budget presentation and what the future might hold for us.
Thank you. Rosie, anything to add?
I don't have anything to add.
Thank you. Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Hallway? Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Garman?
Yes.
Mr. Schreiner?
I abstain on E6, the bill list, attachment E8, page 15. Purchase order numbers 402364 and 402365, and yes on everything else.
Thank you. Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
On item number 6, the February bill list, I was abstaining on page 3, PO number 400250, yes on everything else.
Thank you. And Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 8, resolution to approve Galloway Township public school students attending Gloucester City Schools as McKinney-Vento students during the 2013-14 school year. Each of the student numbers, the tuition amount, and dates are listed. You'll notice it cuts off in January. That's when the district is no longer financially responsible for those students. Item 9, a resolution to approve additional services at the Center for Neurological and Neurodevelopmental Center for the 2013-14 school year. The account and each service and the cost of each service is listed. This is provided on an as-needed basis. Item 10 is a resolution to approve a 5-year Dell computer lease agreement between Galloway Township Public Schools and Dell Financial Services. There will be 5 annual lease payments of $23,303.22, and they will be paid under the payment schedule listed in Exhibit B of the lease agreement. This equipment is being acquired under New Jersey state contract. Item 11 is a resolution to approve submission of the application for funds to support implementation of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act for the period from July 1, 2013 through June 30, 2014 for the purposes described in the application in the amount of $1,912.
Can I have a motion to approve items number 8 through 11 inclusive under finance and school operations?
So moved.
Any board comment?
Question. What's, on item number 8, McKinney-Vento student?
Yes.
What is that?
McKinney-Vento is a federal act referred to as homeless students.
Okay.
Students who are displaced.
Any other board comment? Public comment? Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Schreiner?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 12 is a resolution to cancel unspent balances from the Capital Project Fund, the installation of solar panels at the Galloway Township Middle School in the amount of $169,000. This balance is canceled to the debt service fund and will offset the local tax levy for debt service in the 2014-2015 budget. Item 13, a resolution to cancel unspent balances from the Capital Projects Fund, the construction of the Reeds Road Elementary School Gymnasium in the amount of $521,858. There's an unexpended balance, which is slightly higher. We are only canceling the amount net of an SBA receivable until it's received. This balance is canceled to the Capital Reserve Fund and will support future capital projects. Item 14, finally, is a resolution to cancel unspent balances from the Capital Projects Fund, the replacement of Reeds Road roof in the amount of $2,200.60. This balance is canceled to the Capital Reserve Fund and will support future capital projects.
Can I have a motion to approve items 12 through 14 under finance and school operations? Any board comment? Public comment? Can I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Carn?
Yes.
Mr. Carn? Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 15, a resolution to approve out-of-district travel for professional development. There are 2 individuals listed, the date, the expenses, and account number are all listed.
Can I have a motion to approve item number 15 under finance and school operations?
Second.
Board comment? Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cordero?
Yes. Facilities and maintenance, please.
Thank you. Continuing on, just one item. A resolution to accept and acknowledge receipt of the notification of final eligible costs, the FEC letter, and DOE approved schematic drawings for the following projects. The Smithville Elementary School fire alarm replacement, Smithville Elementary School roof replacement, Roland Rogers Elementary School roof replacement, Roland Rogers Elementary School fire alarm replacement, and Reeds Road Elementary School fire alarm replacement. Each of these projects is eligible for funding through an SBA grant in the amount of 47.519% of the total project costs, up to the FEC amount for each individual project. Again, just to remind the board, we're not actually moving forward with these projects, we're just acknowledging receipt of approval of the projects from the state.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item number 1 under facilities and maintenance?
So moved.
Second.
Any board comment? Public comment? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cordero?
Yes. Community and school facilities.
We have no items this evening.
Personnel?
Yes, item 1 is a resolution to approve personal leave request from Jenna Smith, 6th grade teacher at Smithville Elementary School. The dates of the leave, the terms and conditions are listed. Resolution 2 is to approve the personal leave request from Nana Mason, classroom assistant at Pomona Preschool. Again, the terms and conditions are listed. Resolution 3 is to approve the family leave request from Christina Bauer, classroom assistant at Galloway Township Middle School. Terms and conditions are listed. Resolution 4 is to approve Caitlin Doherty as a 3rd grade teacher at Arthur Randall Elementary School for the 2013-14 school year effective February 25th through June 30th, 2014. The salary step are listed, as is the degree, the account, and this is a replacement position. Resolution 5 on the agenda is blank because I just met with Dr. Hathaway with the finals this morning. Resolution to approve Mary Ann Zielinski as a 6th grade teacher at Smithville Elementary School for the 2013-14 school year, effective, and we're going to make that March 17th, 2014 through June 30, 2014. The salary is $45,684. Step 1, BA degree. The account is listed, and this is a lead position. Resolution 6 is to approve Lee McDonald as a classroom assistant at Galloway Township Middle School for the 2013-14 school year, effective April 1, 2014 through June 30, 2014. The terms and conditions are listed. This is a lead position. Resolution 7 is to approve the following substitute teachers for the 2013-14 school year, effective February 25th through June 30, 2014, pending successful completion of the criminal history review. The various accounts are listed, as are the names of the individuals, whether or not the person is certified, and the daily rate. I would like to add, we also are putting Mary Ann Zielinski, who is certified at $80 per day, so that Mrs. Zielinski can begin subbing while she's waiting to take over the new position. Resolution 8 is to approve the following substitute for child care program effective February 25th through June 30, 2014. For the 2013-14 school year, the hourly rate and account are listed, as is the name of the individual. Resolution 9 is to approve the following substitute custodian for the 2013-14 school year, effective February 25th through June 30, 2014. The hourly rate and account are listed. Under supplemental positions, for item 10, we have the approval of the following teacher for supplemental instruction, extension of the student school day. Per the IEP for the 2013-14 school year, the hourly rate and account are listed, as is the individual. This is IDEA funded. Resolution 11 is to approve the following staff for the Ask Me If I'm Ready program at Arthur Randall Elementary School. The not to exceed hours per person and hourly rate are listed, as are the names of the individuals. This is NCLB Title I funding.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 11 under personnel? Any board comment? Any public comment? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gaze?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery? Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Thank you, and at this time, I'd like to introduce the principal of Dr. The principal of Smithville School, Dr. Hathaway, to introduce the newest member of the Smithville family.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce Mary Ann Zielinski to you. She will be joining us in the 6th grade maternity leave vacancy that was just approved this evening. Mary Ann's taught in Upper Township, and she's worked with children in Atlantic City, so she comes to us with experience. She'll be working in the areas of math and language arts. So we're very happy to add her to our Smithville family.
Welcome. Moving on to policy.
We have no new items this evening.
Thank you. Notice of public meetings.
Yes, as Mr. Kelly mentioned during the budget presentation, we do have 2 meetings in March, the 17th and the 24th, right here in the GTMS cafeteria at 7 o'clock. Under special events, we are noting for our neighbors the Greater Egg Harbor Regional Referendum on March 11th. And also, the Smithville Elementary School Gym Show. The dates and times are listed.
Thank you. Any board comment?
Just a question.
Absolutely not. We are not using Smithville for a polling location this year. Fortunately, Mr. Kelly and I were on top of that, and we're using, I think, the middle school, Pomona, and Roland.
Roland.
We would not interrupt the gym show. There would not be parking. That would not be a very positive experience for voters if they were trying to do that and go to the gym show. They might enjoy the job, sure they'd enjoy the gym show. I will tell you that Mr. Kelly and I do have shamrock wreaths on our doors as of today, but I am not aware that that's a holiday.
Any other board comments? Public comment. Old business. New business.
Yes. Under new business, we have the resolution to approve the 2014-15 school calendar, which was reviewed at the last board meeting, and this is second reading.
May I have a motion to approve item number 1 under new business, the school calendar? Board comment. Public comment. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Hallway?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mr. Gaze?
Yes.
Mr. Schweiner?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery? Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Thank you, and I will let you know the calendar will be sent to staff tomorrow electronically. We will post it on the district website, and we will send it home to the children this week as well.
Thank you. Do we have executive session?
We do.
Okay, be it resolved that pursuant... Oh, sorry. Go around the board first, starting with our student representative, Annalise. Do you have any questions for us or comments about how the board meeting went? Is this how your board meeting goes?
Similar, yeah.
Similar? Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Madeline?
I went to the Art Loren presidential project, and in light of, benchmark testing and SGOs and park tests and the AS test, that to me was a great project. It was interdisciplinary. The computer teacher was involved, the music teacher was involved, language arts, social studies, I'm leaving somebody out, art. The classroom that I was in, the teacher knew every parent as they walked in by their first name. I was impressed with it. I think there should be more of that interdisciplinary learning. I think kids get more out of it. I think it's beneficial for teachers to work together like that, and that was a job well done, in my opinion. Thank you.
Mr. Bates?
Nothing else more welcome.
Mr. Schreiner?
Well, we had a technology meeting, as you heard Mr. Kelly say, is most of you will see the budget as we go out through the presentation. That's all I have.
Martin? Ms. Hall? And nothing from me. So since we do have a closed session, be it resolved that pursuant to Section 708 of the Open Public Meeting Act, that this public meeting of the Galloway Township Board of Education, the following subject matters to be discussed in the session of the board, closed to the public, personnel. It is presently anticipated that the items mentioned in this resolution can and will be disclosed to the public as soon as possible according to the circumstances. Action may or may not be taken. Can I have a motion?